Good morning, everyone. Today's the 30th of July, Wednesday morning. We are all on God's schedule. We are all on God's schedule. Even though we might not believe it, we might think we've got our own schedule set. You know, our schedule set for our education, our schedule set for our marriage, our schedule set for our engagement, our schedule set for when we start a new job, our schedule set when our kids go to college. But I'm here to tell you, according to the Bible, we're all on God's schedule. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under the heaven. To everything there is time to purpose under the heaven. The Bible talks determined by God. He works all things after the counsel of his own will, not after our will and not after our schedule. Second Timothy 4:2, be instant in season. Ezekiel 34:26, and I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing. First Peter 1:6, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you're in heaviness through manifold temptations. Job 5:26, thou shalt come to thy gate, thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age, like as a shock of corn cometh in his season. Psalm 145:15, the eyes of all wait upon thee, and thou givest them their meat in due season. All of our schedules are predetermined by God. Now, a lot of people don't like that. We're told that in him we live and move and have our very being. Well, it gives me a lot of comfort to know that my schedule for time and eternity is determined by God. We think we have so much control over our lives. We think that we can chart out our life. There was a time in my life when I thought that. I believed that all you had to do is set goals in every part of your life, and if you wrote it down, it would happen to you. You know? Sometimes our plans don't fit the schedule of God. Say, well, I'm going to set goals for my educational life, for my spiritual life, for my financial life, for my social life, for my educational life, for my vocational life. God has his own schedule. Remember when the prophet told the handmaid she was going to have a son? 2 Kings 4:16, and he said, about this season According to the time of life, thou shalt embrace the son. She said, man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid. You know, we're on God's schedule. Brother Michael Smith relays about how that him and his wife tried to have children and couldn't have children. Then all of a sudden, they had 5 children, one right after the other, pretty much. Psalm 1:3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Leviticus 26:4, I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Deuteronomy 11:14, I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, first rain and the latter rain. Once we realize that we're on God's schedule, we'll be in a lot better situation mentally and spiritually and everything, every other way. You know? I relayed unto you the story about my dad telling me about my little brother. Well, I guess he was actually a little bit older than me. He was 4 years old and I was 3. And he had had really bad pneumonia and had been in the hospital. And had come home from the hospital, had been home a couple days. And one night, when my dad got off work, my dad came home, and my brother's name was Gary. He went in and jumped up on my dad's lap and said, Dad, I got something I have to tell you. And my dad says, what's that? He said, Daddy, I'm going to go home to be with Jesus tonight. And my dad says, now Gary, you're fine. You've been in the hospital. You're getting much better. You're going to be fine. And Gary said, no, Dad, no. I'm going to go home to be with Jesus tonight. Well, he died that night. God had already scheduled it. Revelation 6:11, and white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. We're on God's schedule. We're not on our own schedule. We think we have everything planned out. We think we can determine our destiny. I'm here to tell you, you can't determine anything. You know, you don't have a free will. I'm here to inform you, free will doesn't exist. God is the only one that has a free will. To everything there is a season and a time and purpose. To every purpose under heaven. You know. Well, that's what's on my mind this morning. We're on God's schedule. May you enjoy God's schedule today as you go about your life. May the good Lord be with you today in a special way is my prayer. God bless.